The summer of 2013 was the hardest summer of our family's life. For my son, it was the worst. That summer, our son used 2 camper ships for 1 kid, and that was something that he really needed. Scott and I met out at Carol Joy Hauling Camp. We became friends pretty quickly, and I knew there was something different and special about him. He sat next to me, and the whole time he was cracking jokes. And that's just kind of who he was. He was pretty goofy and also serious, but everyone met the goofy Scott. We were both camp counselors, but he was also a host, so he actually lived out here. We did a lot of our beginning early dating, just kind of hiking on the trails and having campfires after hours. We got married in March of 2002, and McCartney was born in 2005. Back then, no one really understood what autism spectrum could look like, but they were able to determine that he had enough descriptors to be qualified as being on the spectrum, which then got him services, which then unlocked his speech. God opened up the path for Scott to become a mailman, which ended up being his dream job. McCartney started kindergarten, and Scott started coming home and saying, "Oh, my allergies are messing with me." So that was around September. And then October, he couldn't sleep and he couldn't eat, and his stomach was upset. I knew something wasn't quite right, but I just really didn't imagine it would be serious. The day after his 34th birthday, they ended up having to do some sort of exploratory surgery because they couldn't quite figure out what was going on. And about 20 minutes after they opened him up, the doctor came out and said that they found lots and lots of cancer. They told us that generally people with this diagnosis get about 2 years. And he was 34 years old and in really good shape, and we just figured that he would have more than 2 years because why wouldn't he? He was a dad, had a lot of life, and he wasn't at the end of it. He had a whole list of things he wanted to do. My son, who's on the spectrum, he loves a schedule. He always has. He's loved a routine. But when someone has cancer, you don't get to schedule and routine everything. It wasn't the way that 2013 was supposed to look. It wasn't supposed to be blood transfusions and canceled plans, and my son really struggled with that. We knew our son needed a break, and we wanted to give him time away. We couldn't take him on a trip, but we could give him a week out at camp. We applied for a camper ship, and we were able to get him out here for a week. When he left for camp, he was nervous and anxious, and he was worried about his dad. Just really big grown-up worries for a 7-year-old. And he was able to have a week of shedding that. There's a lot of things that are really good for kids. Getting their spiritual filling and doing that through song and worship and campfires and boating and hiking and Bible study. And they can laugh and they can cry and they can learn to turn to God, and they can be encouraged to write things down or talk about it. And it's just one amazing week for a child.
My favorite thing about camp and what I do there is to go to the pool, have snow cones, and I like doing campfires, a lot, practically everything.
When we came to pick him up from camp, he didn't want to come home. He wanted to stay another week. He wanted to sing. It was amazing to see him that way. He was still himself, but a little bit more optimistic, a little bit more bright side of life. That experience helped bring him back down to childhood for a while. Around mid-July, Scott's pain was very unmanageable, and they had to get him into the hospital right away. It was offered to us to have McCartney go out to camp one more week. It was a huge gift for him to go a second time that summer, because by then Scott's health was much worse. There wasn't a lot they could do. He was young, he was a fighter, he wasn't going to give up, but he did radiation, he did everything that they offered. But on August 12th, 2013, he passed away. The day he died was a beautiful, 70-degree August day. It wasn't really humid. It was just this gorgeous day with big white puffy clouds. And after he died, the whole family, we didn't know where to go. So that day we all came out here. It was a place that we could gather, be together, it was a day that made you think of heaven. Like, and we could come out here and kind of hope that heaven was like that. Scott always wanted us to have a place where we wanted to be and we could think of him. And so a person by the name of Bud Dazenbrock, he donated a tree that we could plant in Scott's memory. We all gathered here at the end of September of 2013 and planted a tree. Whenever the kids asked to come out and see the tree, we pretty much, within reason, I pretty much make it happen. We write on balloons and send them up to heaven. And it gives them an opportunity to write everything that they wanted to tell him, even though we know he sees. Every child who needs to go to camp should be allowed to go. Who deserves that more than a child to get that break? It's important to know that there's a group of people who need this experience that we might not always think about, or they might be amongst us and they'll never say a word. And if we can, we need to help them. Camp was a break for McCartney. I really feel like it was a life-changing experience for him. He needed something that I couldn't give him, so I found someone who could.